How big a boost is it to have Nick Screwson back in?
I'm sorry, I missed the first bit. What you
How
said.
big of a boost is it to have Big Nick back in?
Oh yeah, it's always Nick's. He's an important cog in the wheel at Wakefield, and his experience is great. And he'll be captain of that team on the weekend. So he's got it gives us a boost even on top of the boost that we had last weekend, winning without him in the team. So it's nice to have him back.
Is Danny Kerman's injury of any particular concern or growing concern?
No, not really. It's just he's sort of it's a niggly sort of thing that he needs to work on, and he's lost a bit of fitness and a bit of strength because of it. He got a bit of a knock on his neck in the pre-season game at Castleford, and it's interfered a bit with his shoulder. But he's getting better. But I would hope that he might be fit for the game the following weekend, but it might be a little longer than that. And we lost Scott Anderson from the weekend as well. Scott had a similar sort of thing, really, a spinal thing in his upper back, so they should both be back next game.
Apart from those injuries, have you seen a spring in the step after last week's win?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. The guys all of us, I think, had, it's a sort of well overdue boost for us to get a W instead of those other things. And it was hard fought, it was difficult circumstances for us with both teams with the weather. But we conceded 15 penalties, which is like that's from the 1970s or 80s. I can't believe it. And we've conceded 28 penalties in 2 games. It's like, what? And some of them, they weren't all from sort of the usual suspects of holding down or whatever. The penalties came from most obscure things. It was weird, but in the end, the guys, stuck to their guns, which was really good because the week before that had been a problem for us. Started the game well against Cass, 7 penalties in a row, and we kind of collapsed for a while. It wasn't good enough. But this time round, they did a great job. Our defence improved remarkably.
It's fair to say that sort of penalty count will really harm you at Warrington, wouldn't it?
Oh, I don't even think about it. No, that cannot happen again. I don't care. That cannot happen. That's just an eyesore on the game. There are management issues about, we got some issues in it as well, obviously, but why would we set out to concede 15 penalties? We're trying not to give away penalties. Please. No more of that, please.
Let's hope not, fingers crossed. What are you expecting from the Wolves?
Well, if they're true to form so far, they're, I guess they're 2 only undefeated teams so far, aren't they? Hull and Warrington, and their games have been outstanding. Both teams I've seen both games for both teams on video. They're in sort of blockbusting form and their style. I think we understand that they like to move the ball a lot and they like to play fast, so we've got to go with them. From
what you've seen, has anyone in particular stood out in those videos you've seen?
Oh no, I think that first game of the season was a cracking game for the good of the game. At Leeds, it was a really entertaining game, and only whatever it was, 14-10 or 14-12 or something. The scoreline was. It wasn't like it was a points, galah festival. It was a tough, hard game, and again very fast. So fast has been a really big word in our preparation for this game. We got to be fast with them.
I was going to say, when you go there, do you effectively try and fight fire with fire?
Well, you try to put the fire out if you can when they've got the ball, but that's not going to be easy. But we've got a fair idea about the things they like to do, but that's like out of 100, that's about 5% is knowing what you've got to do. Then the 95% is doing it to begin the game, so you stay in the game, and then continuing to do it is the other 80% of it all. It's a big job for a club like ours to go after whatever, 5-day preparation against a team that's had 12 days preparation in winning form, we're going to need to be really good.
I was going to say, where do you stand on that debate? Are you happy to play through after a win, or would you welcome the break off the back of the 2 defeats?
No, we didn't. We wanted to play last weekend, but we wouldn't want to play. Nobody in their right minds wants 3 away games in a row. Thanks for that, RFL. And because Warrington have the Thursday night game next week, and because they can, because the RFL tells them that they can, they have scheduled the game for Friday, which is the earliest possible time they can play, so that they have a full break for next weekend. Well, all that's great for Warrington, and all of it's not very good at all for us. And my question about all that would be, what's the best thing for the game? Do you really want to give one team that many advantages and potentially have a blowout scoreline? And it happens way too often. It's not just us. We're just the meat and the sandwich this time around. There's a whole heap of people going to be contemplating their navels and everything else after it was a tragedy what happened last week with the World Series, the club series. It's just, but you got to understand if what do they call that? Someone famous said that thing. If you just keep doing the same thing over and over again and it doesn't work, it's why was anyone surprised that those clubs come over here and do what they do when the English Rugby League just doesn't generate from week to week the same level of intensity because it's too lopsided, and the scheduling is a serious factor in that. If you add in wet grounds, boggy conditions, tired on legs.
28 penalties.
28 penalties in 2 weeks, come on. It's almost like we've been set up to be the insect on the windscreen. Well, we ain't going to be that on Friday night, let me assure you, we're not going to be that. But, what's good or bad for Wakefield is not the issue. Well, it is an issue for me right now, but in the broader scheme of things, until someone recognises, that someone in power recognises that you can't keep having lopsided contests and get players to develop the intensity of their preparation and then the ongoing performance enhancement that goes on from that to becoming great individuals in great teams, so that you can go back over there or invite them over next time and do the business on it. Go, into a battle where we can expect the English clubs to do well. You seriously cannot expect it with all of these inequalities in the planning. It's not like, someone's just worked out, all right, if one team's got 5 days to prepare and another team's got 12, that's probably not a good idea to the long-term development of the game. It happens over and over and over again throughout the season.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
On the fixtures, Tony, Brian, obvious one. But what said you, because obviously I know the club gets to see them in November time last year, but what said you have on anything that you do want to change? Are you allowed to, for this instance, were you able to put your concerns up then, or was it never likely to be changed? Or?
No one's ever spoken to me about it. I've never, not even anybody in my own club has spoken to me about any of those sorts of things. It's like anything. If you get hungry, that's a primary motivation.
Yeah.
When you get hungry, you want to eat. When it comes to rugby and sport in general, if you want the best competition, then you have to provide what's the primary motivation for the people who are in charge of running the game. And at the moment, in Warrington's case, their primary motivation this week is to beat us by as many as possible. And the best way to do that is not to have 14-day break, but have 12. That's marginally better for them. But more importantly, they get 7 days or 6 days for the turnaround rather than have to do what we had to do, a short turnaround. So while ever you keep doing those things, the people who are above that, up above, well, I think we should be above that level anyway, are not recognising these things that we will, every club will instinctively take advantage of its situation because that's what we have to do to survive and flourish. So people at the, above that need to weigh all these things up. But I guess when clubs are privately owned, you know, that, and the primary motivation is money, then it's, wow, you know, those owners are perhaps going to drive harder bargains about who is actually making the decisions, from everything from salary cap to, you know, to the competition structure.
Similar, not a similar thing, but obviously announced this morning that Chris Chess has lost his job at Hull.
Oh,
Okay.
what?
Yeah. Obviously 3 games into the season. What's your reaction to that?
Far out. That's shocking. That is shocking. Words fail me. I don't know Chris as a friend or a mate or anything. I've never coached him, but I've been in his company. I've heard him speak about rugby league. You know, I've got a fair idea that he's a quality performer in his business. Far out. That's no, bad move.
Yeah,
Bad move. Anyway, not my call.
That's me done.
You said to me a couple of weeks ago that it may take a few weeks with the amount of new players you brought in for your side to start performing. Is that an indication that when at the weekend that new players are bedding in and, you know, playing in the way you want them to play?
Yeah, it's not just the bedding in, it's me bedding in as well, you know, and it's also you know, us sort of getting into that winning vein, doing all the things that matter, that go towards good preparation and good performance on the field. Yeah. You know, it was marginal last week. You know, that game was in the balance. We weren't madly dominant in the game, but we did enough to win. So at the moment, that's improvement enough for us.
So from week to week, you know, noticing that your message is getting across to the players.
Yeah, it's not just, you know, obviously I'm an experienced coach and I have some input, but lots of the input that go with the issues and problems that a team like ours have are about confidence, you know, about rebuilding confidence. Most of these guys have at some stage, someone's loved them. You know, some rugby league club somewhere has picked them out as being very good, enough to sign and play. But a lot of them have experienced, you know, a lot of failure in recent times. So trying to regenerate those qualities in those guys, which includes confidence, is about how they feel about each other and what the inputs are to each other, and particularly under pressure when they're out there on the field. They're the things that you can't just sort of rub the bottle and the genie pops out. It takes time. It will take a long time, I think. You know, there's just as a club, you know, this club's no confidence anywhere in it. There's nothing that's happening that, you know, can make you say, well, wow, you know, I'm in a really rich, proud and healthy club. It's been this way for a long time. It's certainly got fantastic history, but its recent history is tough for young guys to come into this club and play well. So, you know, I said it last week to different people, I suppose, but I meet lots of people come and talk to me. I've got a friendly face, I guess, or something, but people just come to me and start to talk about, you know, are we going to win this week, or, you know, how's so-and-so going, or whatever. But the conversation, almost always I get the feeling when I'm finished that it's not just fans either. There are other people in this club who matter, who I think they give me the impression that it's one day we're going to be on this side of the line and tomorrow we're on the other. Yeah, and from here on in we're going to be winning all the time. Or it's just, nothing can be further from the truth. It's just it's a tough thing to do, to get out of the mindset of being 17 or whatever it was games in a row last season. That's scarring. That's serious scarring, and we've got to slowly but surely build. And if every little bit of confidence we could possibly achieve from anywhere within our club, but definitely on the weekends when we play games, they're the things that put a bit of petrol on the little fire that we've got going at the moment. We need to accept it's not going to be, even if we were to somehow or other, against all the odds and all that stuff, and we beat Warrington, it'll still be the same on Saturday morning when we wake up. We'll still have to keep chipping away until we develop a long-term competitiveness about us, and eventually a winningness about us. So that's it's the fire that in me, because I've been here and done this sort of stuff before, but not too many people have. It's not too many of my players have been through that. You start from so far behind, and you just got to keep at it. It's debilitating at times, I can tell you.